Hi, I'm Uni Guy from Lebanon. My poem is An Unforgettable August Night. Mom, a former city girl, is caught up in the excitement of sights and sounds of Boston's St. Anthony's Festival. She bobs and weaves, happily enveloped in the sea of humanity flowing around her, taking in the sizzle of peppers and onions awaiting her at the front of the line. Breaking into her nostalgia, the voice of her son, a country boy, plaintively pleads, "Can we please go home now?" Showing Mom his upturned foot, his only focus at the moment is the crushed cannoli stuck beneath his Timberland boot.
So I dedicated this poem to my Uncle Leo, and I wrote it for him because he loves birds. It's called A Bird's Heart. Beneath soft warm feathers lay an egg of brilliant blue, and in that egg a little critter grew, and in that shell it waited for life to come anew, for the call of skies and stars, for the call of resting in the creaking boughs of an ancient oak, for the call of flying through skies of midnight blue. And finally, the day did come, when it called out loud and clear, come out from where you hide. Your skies await your newfound pride." And on that day, that fine spring day, a robin hatched and flew away.
Hi, I'm Robin Jellibo from Norwich, only since October. And the poem I'm going to read, and that was part of PoemTown, is called The Golden Shovel. If you don't know what that is, it's a form that Terence Hayes, a contemporary poet, kind of invented. And it was based on a Gwendolyn Burke's poem. And what he did is he took one line of the poem, and his poem had to end, every one of his lines had to end with a word from that line of her poem, if you can follow that. So my poem, which you can't really tell because you weren't seeing it, so you don't know what the last word of every line is, but you have to take my word for it. That actually, maybe after I read it, I'll read you the original line that I took the golden shovel from. It's called Reclamation. The woman thinks she's done, but if a starling murmurs to her, "You need to keep going. Be taught more from me. Not to look for only one, but to grasp every living thing." Then every bird, every child, all of it, she'll place tenderly into what was her despair. It was never true. She'll risk again, to say, "I am here. I may fail, but this and this and this is a life." The original line was by William May Sarton, and it went, "If you taught me one thing, it was never to fail life."
Hi, I'm Ivy Schweitzer, and I live in Norwich, Vermont, where I like to write poetry in a garden, and Robin and I are poetry buddies. This is a poem that was originally set in Glasgow, Scotland, where I've spent several falls taking foreign study programs. I've been there 4 or 5 times. It's a city I've come to love. And there's a beautiful river called the Kelvin River, and it's kind of down in a dell, and I used to run there every day practically. And there were herons that kind of lived in the different parts of the river, and we would, depending on how many herons we saw, was how we judged how the day was going to be. So was it a 1 heron day? 2 heron. When our kids came to visit, it was a 3 heron day. So this is called Heron Hymn. But then I decided to set it in No, make it long. Well, it's kind of universal. Mallards paddle the creek, fringed with willow and Indian balsam, spilling into Bloody Brook, where I pose, composedly, one-legged, in branches, on the bank, near an abandoned bicycle, reading the waters. Anchor me, moss and current, splash and flesh, flight and moment, ballast me, ancient green place. So I should have said these are from a series of poems written from the creature's point of view, not the human's point of view. So it's the herons. So thank you.
I should have sent you the poem I read before. I had just finished before the deadline for PoemTown, so it was really new. It's one of my newest ones, actually. And this one I wrote right after I got to the Upper Valley last fall. It's called October Pine Park. Rolling girl in black shorts, fuchsia sports bra, stops to walk up an orange leaf carpeted hill. I want to tell her it's okay to slow down. The way my mother would say, you're not having a breakdown, you're having a breakthrough. I remember all my mother's words, but can't hear her laugh. College kids in a cluster are laughing. They actually leap and cartwheel across such tender light. I wonder if it's joy or alcohol. My mother's face held joy, even when she was still drinking. Near the gold-specked river, a young couple on a beach log are arguing or confessing or exchanging secrets. I want to tell them it's okay to let love take its measure, to cherish this amber, slow day.
Since you've been such a good audience. This is from a series that I started to write about the garden, because I love gardening, but then somehow it became a revision of the book of Genesis and the story of Eden. I had planned, and I got taken over by this voice this character that I created called Chava. Chava is the Hebrew word for Eve. So in my version of the story, we call her Chava, and she's different from the traditional Eve. And everything that happens in the garden is also quite different from the traditional story. And again, I didn't plan this, it just really has been coming to me poem by poem. And this is and the poems are all written in the voices of the creatures, beings. So this is a poem in the voice of the garden trees. So remember, there were two trees in the Garden of Eden. There was the tree of life and the tree of knowledge, right? And the Adam and Eve in the story were tempted. Eve was tempted by the serpent to eat from the tree of knowledge, which gave them knowledge of good and evil. And then God was really kind of pissed off because he was afraid they would become like God, and particularly didn't want them to eat from the tree of life, which would make them immortal. So in my version of the story, you'll see. We'll see what happens. So the garden trees are speaking. Listen, from the beginning, there's been a confusion between life and knowledge. Maybe predictable, since we are all perfect in ourselves, dark-branched, tall dancers, or frothy canopies milking the sun, feeding and breathing the earth, wombed in this encircled space, planted cleverly close so our branches pleach for delicious shade and our roots entwine, sending precious messages, each leaf a brainchild, each flower a climax, ripeness our boundless condition. Yes, there was infinite variety, fragrance, texture, taste, but every fruit a homecoming, deliverance, gratitude, surprise, harboring joy, and thus imparting knowledge, as serpent discovered handily, flooding a body with nectar of the gods.
This is a poem that I did. Sit there and I'll sit right here. I had a friend that I took care of their dog when they went on vacation. And I was known as Aunt Jan. So when he wanted to go, they wanted to go someplace, oh, Aunt Jan, can I come and visit you? And it's called Puppy Love. And honored to be your caretaker, your friend, your aunt-in-law, friends of your mom and dad. I remember the first time I saw you, the first time I held you. Your sweetness melted my heart and took my breath away. Where did it all begin? Did you pick me? Did I pick you? Or did we pick each other? It doesn't matter, for you have left paw prints all over my heart.
All right, so this poem is gameplay. It's a on the field, super fast. Zip, zoom, and make a dash. Player open on the spot as defense readies for the shot. Pass it to the open man, but smack hits the opponent's hand. Goalie ready in the net. I can score this out of that. Getting ready for the shot, I am cooking and you're in the pot. I will eat you like lo mein. When I shoot, I use my big brain. The heel of my cleat fixed on the sky, it's time to wave that trophy goodbye. Yes, I score it in the top bin. I hear the crowd cheering, that guy is him. Awesome. Thank you.